What it do, baby? Welcome to Vegeta Saint Army. Thank you guys for liking, watching, and subscribing. The Vegeta Green hand control leader, which I've always loved. I just love this character. I love hand destruction. I'm determined to make this deck, and like every time I play it, I don't know. I love this archetype. Now, the one thing the deck needed is a bit of draw power. And definitely more critical attackers, more cheap attackers, more something to do with the deck. And it definitely got that recently in the new promo, Vegeta Elite Arrogance. And that's this guy right here. And also the Great Ape that just came out with it. Now, the last ditch transformation, Great Ape, gives it more critical, more attacking. If you don't know what the leader does, on the front side, it's a hand control deck, right? So my main decks are probably Majin, Trunks, Vegeta, SS4, but like I like having side decks, pet decks, right? So I always have this as my side green deck to play. It's important to have a fun deck, but also I think that a lot of people underestimate rogue decks like Rildo, like Android 13, like Commander Red. All decks that a good teammate of ours, Alex, was able to get his invites with last year and this year. And like when you put work with a leader, you can surprise anyone. There's a lot of like value in this game when you play a leader that your opponent just doesn't know what it does. Because everyone's testing it against SS4. Everyone has a sideboard against SS4, against Trunks Vegeta, against 21. But if you're playing a deck that just like nobody knows like how to play against. Now, mind you, I'm not saying this is as good as SS4, but there's a certain level of advantage, right? And the moment of capture, or to, I guess, to strike with the irons hot on a leader that nobody knows about is when it gets a good promo. And this one just got two of them that fixes a lot of the problems. Again, the lack of draw and not enough critical attackers, and some of the promos I'm going to show you guys in a second help with that, and of course the new promo, right? So again, what the leader does, it's a green Saiyan Vegeta. Anytime one of your battle cards is removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill, your opponent has to discard a card from hand. This is pretty good because, I mean, your cards, you're not going to be swinging with them, so your opponent's going to want to get rid of them. It's easy to play around, but it's like, if they do play around it and don't remove them, you're going to be like accumulating a lot of advantage, right? Now, there's an activate battle once per turn, that if you have less or equal energy to your opponent, or life as your opponent, you give this card 5k pump, which is pretty relevant if you're getting swung at by like 10k crit, like by 21, the Z card or something like that. And then also, you can awaken anytime you want, if your leader, if your opponent's leader is awakened. So if your opponent awakens turn 1, you can awaken as soon as they do, as soon as you get a chance. He doesn't rip himself down, so like he stays at 8 life. If you awaken at 8 life, you stay at 8 life. The secondary is like, if you are at 3 life, you can't awaken, but it's also awakening when your opponent does. It's staying at a high life, which is great, because you get some protection, right? When you awaken, you draw 2 cards, and you eliminate a marker from a unison, which is really sweet. Now, this side, when he attacks, you once again rip a marker from a unison. And additionally, if you don't do that, you're going to get to untap one of your monkeys with their skills negated. This is actually really good, because people that are counting on unisons for whatever reason, you're going to get... Also, if you awaken defensively, and they're swinging with a unison, you get to take out that unison. Because remember, taking out a marker from a unison resets the card. So that's just a little heads up. Now on this side, if you have one of your battle cards removed by an opponent's skill, you draw a card and they discard. So it's kind of a +2. I really like that about this leader. Now, the field card. The field card is free if you have a green Vegeta leader, okay? And you can play the field card anytime if you have a green Vegeta leader, and what it does is, if one of your Vegeta or any of your green Saiyans is removed by a battle, you can tap one and play a 4-drop green ape from the deck in rest mode if it matches the name of the card being KO'd, right? Now, the reason this is good is you're going to play this 1-drop. The 1-drop either searches a top 5 for a green Saiyan, or it can get you the field from the deck. So we're running basically 7 fields by running this and this. This is great later on because it fetches your Saiyans if you want to just play it and draw, or it can get you this early on, right? Then it has blocker as well, so it gives you a little bit of protection. Now, when you activate blocker, because of him, you can tap one and then play your ape from the deck, right? So why did this get better, right? The reason it got better is because of this card, the promo, Vegeta Elite Arrogance. Now, it's a 1-drop with unique. Anytime you activate the field, you draw a card, and anytime you activate a monkey, you draw a card. So if you go Ooga Boonga, you play a monkey, you're going to draw a card. It's really good because it's like on either turn. So defensively, if you play one of these apes, you're going to draw a card. And then offensively, when you play either one, you get to draw a card, which is awesome because you're giving yourself now a bit of draw. Now, the deck requires a great amount of patience from you, and like a great amount of like resource management and like counting and knowing that, because it's hard. Like you're not drawing 15 cards to this deck. So managing your resources is important. Knowing when to swing and what to swing with. For example, like if you have this guy, right? He's a blocker, 20k. When he attacks, your opponent discards a card from hand, right? He can also just be played for 2 if you don't want to go the blocker route, as long as you have a field on board. This guy, if you have a field on board, you can play him for 1. He's a 19k critical blocker, right? And then you can also play him if he's KO'd, but you can play him for 1. So my point about resource management is, like, you can swing if your opponent, for example, is at 0 cards in hand. You swing with your opponent, they take a life, and then you swing with this guy so that when you attack, it procs and you take a card out of your opponent's hand. But also you have to time it, because on his attack, you want to untap a monkey. So sometimes you might want to swing with the monkey first to untap him with the leader. So just be careful and be cognizant of like the order of operations you're doing, because if you do it right, you can like rip your opponent's hand really quickly with these monkeys. Now the fact that this one has critical is just amazing. Now the leader untaps a monkey, right, on swing. Now the field card at the end of the turn switch up to one of your great ape cards in a battle area and switch it to active mode. So you're going to be untapping 2 monkeys, right? Now, and it does deny their skills. However, what I would ask you guys to do is swing with something that doesn't have critical, give them a card, and then swing with this to take it out of their hand, like swing at a unison or something, right? And then swing with leader and untap this monkey. Then swing with the critical, and then at the end of the turn, untap it with the field card, right? Obviously, what makes this deck work now is this 1-drop that like protects your deck. And like, again, if they want to punish it, if they want to get rid of it, they can, but they're going to be dropping a card, and you're going to be drawing a card. And also, another thing it does that's pretty cool is you can tap a green energy, and you can grab a monkey from your drop area and put it in your hand, which is pretty great, because then you can just redo the whole effect and draw a card. Now, I was playing Paragus for a while, and then I was playing Android 18, Bionic Blitz, but I really like this super combo because it's a high risk, high reward card in his deck. For 1 energy, you play it, your opponent drops a card from hand. Now, you're holding your opponent hostage, because the reason this is bad is because, they can just get rid of it, right? If they get rid of it, you're fucked. But if they get rid of it in this deck, they're going to be dropping a card from hand, and then you're going to be drawing one. You know what I mean? So this super combo is actually really good in this deck, because if they get rid of it, you're turning this into a Ribrian, basically. And if they don't, I mean, you're going to combo with it and draw, because it draws one when it attacks, when it combos. So this is the super combo that I like a lot to play in this deck. Also, it's searchable by the 1-drop, which is actually a big reason. Another card that's searchable is this Gohan here, which honestly, it's my favorite turn 1. Newfound Power Stone Gohan. It's a 15k critical that self-awakens you, I guess. For Ribrian is self-explanatory. You're going to be ripping 2 out of their hand if you get to combo this card. I mean, it's obvious. Now, one card that at first I played like 1 or 2 of, and now it's like a hard 3 or 4 of, is Nappa. It's a 2-drop 15k critical. But when you play it, your opponent drops a card from hand. Now, when you're like turn 4, and the game's getting like grindy, this card is insane. Because like it's just a Ribrian on legs. Like all of these cards make your opponent have to answer them. And it's like, again, like there's plenty of removal in the game. There's plenty of good shit going around, but it gets to a point where your opponent's hand is so low that they have to make a tough choice, right? So if you're playing this deck, I'm asking you to try this card out, because on play, making your opponent drop one and then swinging for 15k crit is pretty powerful. With so many 20k Z leaders, I can see this going down, but I just really like it. I would be playing more of the Gohans. I only have 2. The card's absolutely insane. If you're at 4 life or less, and you're Gohan's teaching green, you can play for 2. You KO a battle card. It's deflect, critical, and obviously you have the effect of, like, you know, comboing and ripping markers. This deck does a lot of marker ripping as it is, but I absolutely love this card. This deck needs as many critical attackers as it can. I would also be playing more of these Goku. I have 2 of them. But for 1 energy, you play Kaioken Goku, and you have a 15k critical that, like, rips a card out of your opponent's hand. And you can go taller if you want to tap another energy for it. Another card I absolutely love is going to be the Goku. Oh shit. Yeah, Fated Rival, it's obvious. You're going to be playing something that removes things that have barrier. Coming up in the upcoming set, you want to deal with, like, since Shenron promo just kills this deck. I mean, a lot of things kill this deck, but you have Slug, you have other cards that have barrier that are problematic. This deals with them. You also have a lot of Saiyans in this deck, so you can Z-charge them, and this comes out pretty easily for 30k double strike, barrier, and it removes a barrier card out of your opponent's field. Let's see here. The negates I'm going low on. Doing 2 Hami clones, and one of these amazing Goku's Kamehameha Reflection, 1-drop, negate, KO a 4-drop on your opponent's side. Because really the defensive card that I like the most is just like Cells Kamehameha. Cells Kamehameha, I think, is just like, I don't know, I'd rather just combo to 30 and just rip a card out of your hand. This card is absolutely devastating. Like, after you're ripping their hand, like, after you do all of the hand ripping, following it up with this is just, like, insane. So I really like it. As far as the the Overrealm, I really like the new 20k crit draw one, because it's critical, 2, it just draws me 1, which is pretty amazing. I mean, you can play Toa as well. I'm not gonna blame you. You can play Secret ID, whatever. But this one just really fits the theme of the deck, which is critical, and you want to draw as much as you can. As far as the secret rare, Cell Xenos is too perfect for it. You get to rip your opponent's hand, and also mathematically, it makes a lot of sense to this deck. You're running an incredible amount of 4-drops. So, like, also, like, a lot of 2-drops and 6-drops. So, like, it mathematically, it makes total sense to just run this card. It's another thing the deck needs. It's like hand rip, quad strike, dual attack, deflect. It's pretty hard to ignore. Now, if you're going to be building this deck and you're playing locals against your friends, and you're playing against SS4 or something, one card I really wanted to show you guys. I actually don't mainboard the Unison package, but I really, really like, just in green in general, I think, but the Golden Frieza Unison. The reason I like it is because it's, well, first of all, the +1 is cool. You get to draw a card, put a card on top of the deck, and then you give something you give it critical, right? So having a critical Unison is pretty good, but also the -2 is the real spice, because if you -2, for the next turn, your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they KO one of their 2-drops or higher. So against, like, SS4, this is great because it's not targeting the Gogeta SS4 8-drop. It's targeting the opponent. So, like, you're basically, like, Big Amoring them, or how do I say, like, you're floodgating them on your turn, right? Let's see here. Yeah, they have to place it in their drop area. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's why I like this card. Obviously, if you are going to run a Unison, run, Dormant Potential, Frieza Charismatic Villain, Again, this isn't on my personal main board, but I would bring it in if I know I'm playing against something that Unison is good against. You guys can use your imagination. The sideboard, the Z deck is in my Broly extra card, so I'm not gonna take it apart. But basically, surmounting green good stuff. I think I have Frieza in there, and Jiren, obviously the immovable. This is like my favorite Z card for green. Just good removal, double strike, a good finisher. A lot of stuff that this deck needed got fixed this set. And also with the introduction of Z battle cards. An introduction to finishers is something this deck needed. Also drawing, which is something that the promo gives you, you know. If you guys are playing this deck, if you guys are fond of this deck, I do want to make more fun decks, more decks that that have a cult following, the people that love them. I love this deck. For those of you watching, what would you do? What would you do differently than me? What would you change as far as the deck list? What would you do as far as sideboarding? You know, what other green decks are you playing? What I personally, I can already tell you I'm going to be running more Kaioken Goku in this deck. More of the Gohan's teachings, the critical attack. I love critical. I love hand rip. I love Vegeta. What do you guys think? Just tell me what you guys think about the deck, and I'll see you guys next time. I have more fun decks that I love building. I love building fun decks. Just let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all next time.